Hello, everyone. Today, we're going to talk about a really fascinating discovery, one that's changing how we understand our brain's most basic functions. We're going to look at how our most vital organ, the brain, actually keeps itself clean.
So, let's just start with a bit of perspective. As you know, the brain itself is quite small. It makes up only about 2% of our total body weight.
But for its size, it is incredibly hungry. It consumes a huge amount of energy, something like 20 to 25% of the body's total supply. And all of that high-energy activity, well, it creates a very unique problem.
You can think of it like a busy factory that never shuts down. This intense metabolism is constantly producing waste products. And all of that waste has to be cleared out somehow. Otherwise, it would damage the delicate brain tissue.
Okay, so to really appreciate the brain's special situation, let's take a step back and just quickly touch on a very basic principle: the role of water in our bodies.
We all know, of course, that water is absolutely essential for life. It carries nutrients, it helps with chemical reactions. But for our conversation today, the most important role is that it's the vehicle our body uses to flush out waste and toxins, mainly through our kidneys and lymphatic system.
And that simple fact brings us to a major puzzle that scientists have thought about for a very, very long time.
Here's the key point. The rest of our body has a dedicated network for waste removal, the lymphatic system. But the brain, it doesn't have one. It has no conventional lymphatic vessels. So the big question has always been, how on earth does it get rid of its trash?
Well, the answer is incredible, and it was only discovered in the last decade or so. It's a remarkable, hidden plumbing system inside the brain. It's called the glymphatic system. Think of it as a brain-wide network that allows the cerebrospinal fluid, the CSF, to flow into the brain tissue and mix with the fluid surrounding the cells. Basically, the CSF is used to literally wash the brain and carry all the waste products away.
And here's the really amazing part. With our modern imaging technology, we can actually watch this whole cerebral wash cycle happening in real time. There's a technique called glymphatic MRI, or GMRI for short. What researchers do is they introduce a completely safe tracer into the CSF, and then they simply use an MRI scanner to watch its journey through the brain over several hours.
And this is what they see. If you look at the scan on the right, this is taken in the first 1 to 2 hours. That blue color you see is the tracer just starting to enter the brain. This is the beginning of the wash cycle. Now let's see what happens next.
Okay, now look at the image on the left. This is around 6 to 9 hours later. The tracer, now shown in red, has moved deep into the brain tissue, mixing in and collecting all that waste. And then, in the final image on the right, you can see that by 24 hours, it's almost all gone. The tracer, along with the waste it collected, has been effectively washed right out. It's just a brilliant way to see the whole process.
So this is much more than just an interesting piece of physiology. It has huge implications for the kinds of neurodegenerative diseases that we see in our patients.
The research is becoming very clear on this point. When this glymphatic cleaning system isn't working well, toxic proteins can build up in the brain, and that buildup leads to disease.
And we're talking about some very important proteins here. This system is what clears out proteins you'll definitely recognize, things like amyloid beta and tau, which are the famous hallmarks of Alzheimer's disease, and also alpha-synuclein, which we know is linked to Parkinson's disease.
So this gives us a completely new way of thinking about these devastating conditions. It suggests that maybe the problem isn't just that the brain is producing too many of these toxic proteins, but that the brain's fundamental waste removal system has failed.
And that really opens up an exciting new frontier for medicine. It leaves us with a very powerful question. If a faulty cleaning system is part of the cause, could we find therapies that improve this natural wash cycle? Could we one day help prevent or even treat these diseases by helping the brain to clean itself better? It's a fascinating thought to consider.